Let's start today with Vladimir Putin and Russia. We know that Russian casualties are mounting. We know that Russia is being drastically affected by sanctions, even if they are undertaking a public relations campaign to try to make the case that they're fine and everything's fine. And the latest in this seemingly interminable fiasco is Putin and Russia claiming that the United States is actually behind an alleged Ukrainian drone attack, which I guess damaged a flagpole and did nothing else. Whereas intelligence analysts are saying it is far more likely that this is a Russian false flag than it is something with American involvement, particularly because it failed so badly if indeed the goal was to hurt somebody. And it's just blatantly pathetic in terms of the video that has been released. So let's go through this in pieces. NBC News report. Russia claims the U.S. is behind the alleged Ukrainian drone attack on the Kremlin. Both Kyiv and Washington strongly denied involvement in what Moscow said without citing evidence was an attempt to assassinate President Vladimir Putin. Russia claimed Thursday the U.S. was behind the alleged drone attack on the Kremlin and said it was a Ukrainian attempt to kill Putin. This accusation was made without citing any evidence, less than 24 hours after Moscow said that it foiled an overnight drone strike on a building that is the heart of the country's government and Putin's residence. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, quite a node of disinformation, claimed Thursday that Washington masterminded the incident. The U.S. swiftly rejected the accusation, saying it had nothing to do with it, as did Ukraine. Now, there was another very interesting piece, a CNBC slash NBC report. Analysts say Russia, quote, likely staged Kremlin drone attack it blamed on Ukraine and the West. Speculation is mounting that Russia staged the drone attack on the Kremlin that it blamed on Ukraine, with political analysts saying there are a number of reasons why the alleged strike, which Russia called a planned terrorist attack, just doesn't add up. Russia accused Ukraine of attempting to attack the Kremlin, saying the government in Kyiv tried to strike at the heart of Russia's government. Russian President Putin wasn't injured in what it characterized as an assassination attempt. In fact, Putin had not been in the Kremlin at the time of the alleged incident, but provided no evidence Ukraine carried it out. Ukraine denied involvement. Russia has often been accused of plotting false flag attacks that it can blame on Ukraine and use to justify or escalate its own military aggression against the country as the war drags on into its 15 months. So what do we actually know? I mean, we know that there was something on video that looks like a drone. It appears as though it hit a flagpole. Moscow claims it was Ukraine trying to kill Putin, masterminded by the United States. There's no evidence of that. Ukraine denies it. The U.S. denies it. Analysts say it was likely staged. Now, let's believe it for a second. And what I mean by that is, let's believe for a second that this really was an attempt by Ukraine, masterminded by the United States to kill Putin. A couple different things. One, we have to believe that an attack masterminded by the United States and carried out by Ukraine hit a flagpole. Okay? Not the most predictable outcome that we would imagine. And or secondly, we have to believe that Russia is admitting that their air defense system is so poor that enemy drones now just fly over the Capitol and hit a flagpole at the Kremlin. Both of these scenarios, certainly taken together, aren't super easy to believe. And what we do know is that there's a very long history with Vladimir Putin of false flag type events of this kind used to justify whatever. And you can go all the way back to Putin's ascension to power with examples of that, probably a topic for another day. What we know is that Russia continues to have huge losses. Russia believed this would be super easy when it started last year, 15 months ago. And it's probably not easy to keep the Russian public patriotic and happy as family members and friends and loved ones, etc., are being killed as a result of what was supposed to be a very easy takeover of Ukraine. So from a PR perspective, it would be extraordinarily useful to be able to credibly claim that the Ukraine, with a masterminded by the United States, Ukraine carried out such an attack or attempted attack. And the key line in all of this is that Russia says it will respond. What does a response mean? What will that response look like? Well, we don't know yet, but that often is the name of the game. Create a pretext, surface a pretext to then justify further escalations and maybe have a PR impact to get more people on the side of this completely harebrained incursion by Putin and Ukraine. When you ask me how will it end, I still have absolutely no idea. But it's looking like it's going to be relatively ugly. Plastic, it's everywhere we look, and not enough is being done about it. 100 billion plastic bags are used and thrown away every year. Here's something super simple you can do to reduce plastic and help the planet a little bit. Our sponsor, Hold On Bags, is the company making plastic-free trash bags and Zip Seal kitchen bags. They're just as strong and high quality as the plastic bags you're used to. Hold On Bags are 100% plant-based and home compostable, meaning they break down in just weeks, not decades. Their Zip Seal kitchen bags come in sandwich or gallon size to fit all of your needs, whether it's carrots or crayons. At home, I put all of my food waste in a Hold On trash bag, throw it in the compost pile, and when I throw a Hold On trash bag in my dumpster, I love knowing it's not filling our landfills and oceans with plastic. Single-use plastics harm the planet at every stage: production, disposal, decomposition. Join the growing movement away from single-use plastic. These products are really great. It's so easy to make the switch. Go to holdonbags.com/Pacman and you'll get 20% off with code Pacman at checkout. The link is down below.